Hello from Up Ministries. It's me, Dick Jr. I'm coming to you today to read 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I didn't take any references from this to any other places, and I circled a few things. I may talk a little bit about pontificate. I like that word a lot, pontificate. I may talk a little about... I prayed and asked God to help me to speak to you today before I started this video, and I suggest that anytime you place yourself in His Word, you do the same. You ask God to give you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding specifically, and He will. Okay, and that's His promise, not mine. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started here and make this a quick read. It's not very long, but there are some things I may talk about a little. Am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus our Lord? Or are you not my work in the Lord? If to others I am not an apostle, at least I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. This is Paul talking to the church at Corinth, which he started. Basically, he helped build this church. This church at Corinth, what I was going to say, though, is about the word apostle. The most literal meaning of apostle or apostleship is one who starts churches for Jesus. Okay? So what he's saying right here is, since I started this church, I am an apostle, regardless of anything else. You see what I mean? That's what he said right there. So back to verse 3. My defense to those who examine me is this. Do we not have a right to eat and drink? Do we not have a right to take along a believing wife, even as the rest of the apostles and the brothers of the Lord and Cephas? Or do only Barnabas and I not have a right to refrain from working? Who at any time serves as a soldier at their own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat the fruit of it, or who tends a flock and does not use the milk of the flock. I am not speaking these things according to human judgment, am I? Or does not the law also say these things? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle the ox while he is threshing. God is not concerned about the oxen, is he? Or is he speaking altogether for our sakes? Yes, for our sake it was written, because the plowman ought to plow in hope, and the thresher to thresh in hope of sharing the crops. If we sowed spiritual things in you, is it too much if we reap material things from you? If others share the right over you, do we not more? Nevertheless, we did not use this right, but we endured all things so that we will cause no hindrance to the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who perform sacred services eat the food of the temple, and those who attend regularly at the altar have their share from the altar? So also the Lord directed those who proclaim the gospel to get their living from the gospel. I circled that. It's important. I also believe that you don't have to, and that's what Paul's saying right here. In fact, he says he would rather pay for himself and give the gospel away and not ask for anything for them for doing it, is what he's saying right here. That's what this whole thing is really saying. But I have used none of those things, and I am not writing these things so that it will be done so in my case. For it would be better for me to die than have any man make my boast an empty one. For if I preach the gospel, I have nothing to boast of, for I am under compulsion. For woe is me if I do not preach the gospel. For if I do this voluntarily, I have a reward. But if against my will, I have a stewardship entrusted to me. What then is my reward? That when I preach the gospel, I may offer the gospel without charge, so as not to make full use of my right in the gospel. For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. I circled that. Make yourself a slave to all men, that you may win more men. For Jesus. Okay, that's why I circled it. To the Jews I became as a Jew, so that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law as under the law, though not being myself under the law, so that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without law, though not being without the law of God, but under the law of Christ, so that I might win those who are without law. To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. One of my favorite verses, by Paul especially, but one of my favorite verses. I became all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. Okay? I do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. And he's serious. He's not just talking about in the gospel, but he's talking about in life, and he's talking about physically as well, making sure that you're fit. All these things. Okay, he's talking about all these things right here. Do you not know the to win? Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. Again, it says self-control in all things. That means physically as well. You see what I mean? Emotionally, physically, spiritually. See what I mean? Okay, according to Christ. But all things is the part that's important. Self-control in all things. They then do it to receive a perishable prize, but we an imperishable. Therefore I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air. But I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. And he's also talking about physically too, making sure that you're in good shape, able to help. So after you talk about what you can do and all these great things, but you have to be able to do them as well. And he's talking about being a good steward and being able to help others. You know, if you can't help others, you can't help yourself. So he's talking about running the race as a winner. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's all I have for 1 Corinthians chapter 9. There's a lot of things I really like here. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. I really like that right there. Self-control in all things. And he means all things, you know. And therefore I run in such a way as not without aim. Keep your eyes on the prize and run at the prize. You know, we know that's Jesus. We know it's the truth that he gave us and all these words in this book. But that's, you know, don't run aimlessly about. Run towards that. You see what I mean? And box in such a way as not beating the air. But he's saying all these things also on a physical level, not just a spiritual level. He wants us to discipline our bodies to be our slaves. You know, if you want to be able to do something, then you have to teach your body how to do it, and you make it do it. You see what I mean? So anyways, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and thanks for listening to me talk a little bit, and God bless.